Hello friends, here we will see notes of Heart of Darkness. Introduction. Heart of Darkness novel by Joseph Conrad. That was first published in 1899 in Blackwood's Edinburgh magazine and then in Conrad's Youth and Two Other Stories 1902. It was published in the year of 1899 and once again it republished in the year of 1902. Heart of Darkness examines the horror of Western colonization. The main topic of this work is Western or impact of Western colonization. Despite it as a phenomena that tarnishes not only the lands and people it exploits, but also those in the West who advance it. It not only targeting people or their culture, it destroys almost other aspects of the people of colonized area. Although governing an initial lackluster reception, Conrad's semi-autobiographical tale has gone on to become the most analyzed work. It became very famous and very analyzed work also. About poet. Joseph Conrad was a British novelist and story writer. He is regarded as one of the greatest writers in English language, and although he did not speak English fluently until his 20s, he became a master prose stylist who brought a non-English sensibility into English literature. He was not basically English mother tongue oriented person. He belongs to other language, but also he learned English and he made many big work he gave to English literature. He wrote novels and stories, many in nautical settings, that despite crisis of human individuality in the midst of what he saw as an indifferent, inscrutable and amoral world, what he saw, the real experiences of those experiences became the literary work and it got famous name and fame. Here we will see the summary of Heart of Darkness. Heart of Darkness tells a story within a story. The novel begins with a group of passengers aboard a boat floating on the river Thames. They are floating on the river Thames on a boat. One of them, Charlie Marlowe, relates to his fellow seafarers an experience of his that took place on another river altogether, the Congo River in Africa. They are going towards the Congo, African area. Marlowe's story begins in what he calls the sepulchral city, somewhere in Europe. He belongs to this city, some strange city, and it is in Europe. There the company, an unnamed organization running a colonial enterprise in the Belgium Congo, appoints him captain of a river steamer. He is appointed from Europe and he goes to the Africa, which is the colonized area from British people. He sets out for Africa optimistic of what he will find, but his expectations are quickly soared. From the moment he arrives, he is exposed to the evil of imperialism, witnessing the violence it inflicts upon the African people it exploits. As he proceeds, he began to hear tell of a man named Kurz, a colonial agent, who is supposedly unmatched in his ability to procure ivory from the continent interior. According to rumor, Kurz has fallen ill, thereby jeopardizing the company's entire venture in the Congo. In Africa, British people stayed there and they consider African area as a colonized area. They are under African people, they are under control of British. How we struggled before our independence, in the same way those people also struggling now. The poet observed, or the Marlowe, the protagonist in this novel, he is observing the struggle of those people in the area of Africa. Also he heard one new name like Kurz, a colonial agent. He also belongs to Europe, British. but he is very friendly or familiar or very close to African people. They love like him anything. He is treated like a god in African land. Our protagonist Marlowe heard the news that Kurds fallen ill, so these people are going to meet Kurds and looking or caring to come out of his unhealth condition. Anyway, they meet some tribe people. They look like cannibals. But our Marlowe has some stereotype about cannibals. Marlowe is given command of his steamer and a crew of Europeans and Africans to man it, the latter of whom Conrad shamelessly stereotypes as cannibals. As the penetrates deeper into the jungle, it becomes clear that his surroundings are impacting him psychologically. His journey is not only into the geographical art of darkness, but into his own psycho-interior, and perhaps into the darkened psychic interior of Western civilization as well. After encountering many obstacles along the way, what happened here? While he moved towards the near Kurds, he met cannibals or some tribe people, those who are the real dwellers of Africa, those area. But those people don't like, or they oppose directly these British people, because they against to the colonization. They don't like the colonization impact. So they start throwing somewhat arrows towards these sailors on the river. Many of the altogether member who were there along with our protagonist Marlowe, everybody died. Only Marlowe left, and what happened? We'll see. Marlowe's steamer finally makes it to the Kurds. Kurds takes command over a tribe of native who is now employed to conduct raids on the surrounding regions. The man is clearly ill, physically and psychologically. Here what happened? Kurt's condition became too worst. He was totally, clearly ill. But the people who were around him, they were not ready to leave Kurtz because they like him a lot. Marlowe has to go to threaten him to go along with them. So intent is Kurtz on existing his immense plans. As the steamer turns back the way it came, Marlowe's crew fires upon the group of indigenous people previously under Kurtz away, which includes a queen figure described by Conrad with much eroticism and as exhausted. By looking the condition of that person, Kurtz, Marlowe thought to take him away and give good medicine or care like that. But the persons around him, they are not allowed them to go. So Kurtz, by serious ill, he took his last breath there. Before taking last breath, he gave all documents to the Marlowe. Kurtz dies on the journey back up the river, but not before revealing to Marlowe the terrific glimpse of human evil he had been exposed to. The horror, he tells Marlowe before dying. Marlowe almost dies as well, but he makes it back to the sepulchre city to recuperate. He is disdainful of the petty tribulations of Western civilization that seem to occupy everyone around him. As he heals, he is visited by various characters from Kurt's former life, the life he led before finding the dark interior of himself in Africa. A year after return to Europe, what happened? Our protagonist here, Marlowe, he visit again Europe after death of Kurtz. Kurtz gave his document before breathe his last moment. He gave all documents. So our protagonist met his family and he met even his wife also. Marlowe pays Kurt's partner a visit. She is represented as several of Heart of Darkness. Female characters are as naively sheltered from the awfulness of the world, a state that Marlowe hopes to preserve. When she asks about Curtis' final words, Marlowe lies, "Your name." He tells her. Marlowe's story ends there. Heart of Darkness itself ends as a narrator. One of the Marlowe's audience sees a mass of brooding clouds gathering on the horizon. That seems him to be heart of immense darkness. But here, what happened? Kurt's wife, When Marlowe met, she asks what my husband said last time for you. Marlowe said your name. She felt happy, but really Kurtz said horror, horror like that. He did not say his wife's name, but Marlowe said, he said your name like that towards his wife. By that, wife became happy and some emotional also. It shows the heart of immense darkness. Heart of Darkness was published in 1902 as novel in Youth and two other stories, a collection which included two other stories by Conrad, but the text first appeared in 1899 in Blackwood's Edinburgh magazine in Literary Monthly on his thousands issues, to which its editor invited Conrad to contribute. Conrad was hesitant to do so, perhaps for good reason, although Heart of Darkness received acclaim among his own literary circle and story failed to secure any kind of popular success. That remained the case even when it was published in 1902. Heart of Darkness received the least attention out of the three stories included, and the collection was eponymously named after another one of the stories altogether. Conrad didn't live long enough to see it become popular success. Yes, Heart of Darkness first began garnering academic attention in the 1940s and 50s, at a time when literary studies were dominated by the psychologically oriented approach to the interpretation of literature. Analysis. Heart of Darkness on the most superficial level can be understood through its semi-autobiographical relationship to Conrad's real life. Much like his protagonist Marlowe, Conrad's career as a merchant marine also took him up the Congo River, and much like Marlowe, Conrad was profoundly affected by the human depravity he witnessed on his boat tour of European colonialism in Africa, but it's overly reductive to boil Heart of Darkness down to the commonalities it shares with Conrad's own experiences. It would be useful to examine its elements crucial to the imaginary emergence of modernism. For example, Conrad's use of multiple narrators, like coaching of one narrative within another, and stories acknowledging logical unfolding, and as would become increasingly clear as the 20th century progressed. His almost post-structuralist distrust in the stability of language. At the same time, his story pays homage to the Victorian tales he grew up on, evident in the popular heroism so central to the story narrative. In that sense, Heart of Darkness straddles the boundary between the waning Victorian sensibility and a waxing modernist one. One of the most respondingly modernist elements of the Conrad's work lies in his kind of early post-structuralist treatment of language. His insistence on the inherent inability of words to express the real. In all of its horrific truth, Marlowe's journey is full of encounters with things that are unspeakable, with words that is eminently inscrutable. In this way, language fails time and time again to do what it is meant to do, to communicate. It's a phenomena best summed up when Marlowe tells his audience it is a real story, and the language it is very conveying in the novel. That it is impossible to convey the life sensation of any given epoch of one's existence, that which makes it truth, its meaning, its subtle and penetrating essence. We live as we drawn alone, Kurtz as eloquent as the may be, can't even adequately communicate the terrifying darkness he observed around him. The horror is all he can say. Some critics have summarized that part of the Heart of Darkness mass equal comes from his ambiguity of language, from the free rein it gives its readers to interpret. Interpretability, viewing Conrad's inability to name things as an unseeingly quality narrators who's supposed to be one of the greats. Perhaps this is itself a testament to the Heart of Darkness breathe the interpretability examining Heart of Darkness from a post-colonial perspective has given way to more derisive critique. As Achebe put it, Conrad was a thoroughgoing racist, one who is dehumanized Africans in order to use them as a backdrop against which to explore the white man's interiority. Yes, what happened here mainly, poet spoke about the impact of colonization. Achebe is right, although Conrad rebuks the evils of colonization, he does little to dismantle the racism that undergirds such a system, instead posting the indigenous people of Africa as little more than part of the natural environment. This work has been helped up as one of the West's most significant books on the evils of European imperialism in Africa, and yet it fails to assign any particularity or it to African people themselves. Feminist discourse has offered similar critiques that Conrad has flattered his female character similar to the way. If you like the notes of this, please let me know in the comment box. Also, hit like button and subscribe my channel for more videos like this. Thank you.